Welcome, and greetings to all. I am Shenlong Pendragon, the Lore Master. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, a quick disclaimer. The following is a non-profit video. I do not own any of the images or the story. The credit for these all belongs to their original sources. So, ladies and gentlemen, after a very long delay, I am finally doing another video. Suppose some of you will be wondering why it took so long. I do really apologize for that. As you might be able to tell from this little image here, I've essentially gone the last few months with no Wi-Fi, which has been unfortunate. So after I was in quarantine in Tokyo for 2 weeks, it took me a further 6 weeks to actually move into my own place, and then it's taken a while to get Wi-Fi. So it's been a bit of a struggle there, but thankfully now I have Wi-Fi, so hopefully I'll be able to get 1 or 2 videos up for you guys now. So, ladies and gentlemen, here he is at long last. The monkey, the myth, the legend that is Sun Wukong. And today's video is specifically going to be focusing on his rebellion against heaven. Now, I initially said I wasn't going to do the story of Sun Wukong, but I changed my mind, and the reason for that is those of you who are gamers may recall that a number of months ago, towards the end of last year, an indie game developer in China released a teaser trailer for a game called Black Myth Wukong, which obviously Sun Wukong is the protagonist of. Honestly, I don't really know too much about the game itself. Some people have Some people have compared it to things like God of War, others have compared it to Dark Souls. There's a lot of people that are quite keen on it, and I have no idea when it's meant to be coming out. If you want to see the trailer for it, you can easily find it on YouTube. Yeah, it does look quite good in terms of a game. Anyway, moving swiftly on, I will get on and start the video. Our story begins on the mountain of flowers and fruit. There was a stone, infused with the magical energies of heaven and earth, the yang and the yin together. This stone turned out to be a form of magical womb, which gave birth to an egg. The egg was reduced in beams of golden light, which startled the Jade Emperor, ruler of heaven. When they sent his officials to investigate, they found that the egg had become a stone monkey. Reporting their findings to the Emperor, he deemed it to be no more than just a stone monkey, interesting enough in its own right, but nothing particularly special, and thus he just ignored it. As time passed, the stone monkey befriended many animals and creatures on the mountain, and joined a troop of other monkeys. While not having been birthed from a stone, they were just regular monkeys, and they referred to him as the stone monkey. One day, while bathing and playing in a stream, they decided to find the source of the water. They climbed the mountain, and there they found a waterfall. It was declared that whichever of the monkeys would be brave enough to leap through the water first and return would be declared the king. At once, the stone monkey volunteered. Having bravely leapt through the waterfall, the stone monkey began to explore the caves on the other side. After coming across an iron bridge, he decided to go back. After leaping back through the waterfall, He told the troop what he had found and persuaded them to join him on the other side. Once gathered, he reminded them of what had been decided earlier. Gladly, they named him their king. His first act as the new Monkey King was to declare that he would be no longer known as the Stone Monkey. Instead, he would be referred to as the Golden Monkey, or the Handsome Monkey King. Life was good in those early years for the Monkey King. He was worshipped and idolized by his people. He was loved. However, this happy time was not to last. Being no ordinary monkey, he'd received the gift of longevity. However, this gift came with a curse. As death would not yet take him, he was forced to watch as his older subjects slowly succumbed to age and died. Saddened by their loss, he decided to leave his kingdom and go on a quest to search for the secrets of immortality. Upon his journey, the Monkey King came across a woodcutter singing an interesting song. After questioning the man about the song's origin, he learned that the woodcutter had learned it from an immortal who lived in the forest. Eager to find this master, the Monkey King set out into the forest and eventually found a temple where resided the Taoist martial artist named Puti Zushi. Initially, Putis refused to let him in. However, the Monkey King waited at the entrance of the temple for many months, refusing to leave. Impressed with the monkey's persistence, he eventually allowed him to enter. Puti came to accept the Monkey King as a student and taught him the advanced practices of Taoism, including the secrets of immortality. He then gave him a Buddhist name, Sun Wukong. He told Sun Wukong it was his destiny to know these secrets, and Puti later advised him to never needlessly show off his skills, for to do so may encourage others to ask him to teach them. He counseled that if you do teach them, they may cause trouble, and if you don't teach them, they will resent you for it. He then forbid Sun Wukong from ever revealing who taught him the secrets. Loyally, Sun Wukong promised to never reveal his master's name. It was from this master that Sun Wukong learnt the 72 earthly transformations. He had declined learning the 36 heavenly transformations, believing that the larger variety of the 72 would be far more useful. After completing his training, Sun Wukong awoke in the forest. For him, years had passed, but surprisingly he found that he had been locked in some form of time loop, and that very little time had actually passed in the forest while he'd been away. When later asked about his skills and how he had learnt them, Sun Wukong answered honestly, as he saw it. He gave the answer saying that he had learnt it all in his dreams, which, in all intents and purposes, he had. Sun Wukong returned to his mountain realm a hero. But more trouble was brewing. Sun Wukong had become a very powerful and influential demon, but his power was coveted by others of demon kind. He fought off several raids, and eventually his temper snapped. He had had enough. His people needed protection. They needed weapons and training of their own in order to defend themselves. Upon hearing that the Dragon King's palaces contained many treasures, Sun Wukong set out on another journey to find Wukong, the Dragon King of the Eastern Sea. When he finds the palace, Wukong tells his guards to turn the Monkey King away. Enraged, Sun Wukong barged in anyway, brushing off the protests from the guards and insisting that Wukong not turn him away and that they discuss things, king to king. Once inside, he encourages the Dragon King to give him a weapon. Wukong, who had already been humbled by his humiliating defeat at the hands of Nizhe, decides that he does not want to fight Sun Wukong, knowing that the Monkey King is a significantly powerful and terrible foe. Feigning a willingness and hospitality, he ordered his underlings to bring weapon after weapon. But Sun Wukong is unsatisfied. Most of them are not strong enough to withstand his strength. They're either too light or too weak. Eventually, the Dragon King offers him a sword, but Sun Wukong shakes his head. "I do not know how to use a sword. I have never been trained. Give me something else I can use," he asks. Running out of ideas, the Dragon King tries a number of other weapons, but each one is just not simply robust enough for the Monkey King. Unhappy with the situation and growing impatient, Sun Wukong then sees the golden banded staff, Ryu Jingyu Bang. This staff is the stabilizer of the four seas and a great treasure of Wukong. Seeing his interest in the staff, Wukong laughs. "If you believe you are strong enough to wield such a staff, then by all means, Sun Wukong, have at it." Much to the Dragon King and his courtiers' surprise, the Monkey King is indeed able to wield the staff, the only creature strong enough to use it like a weapon. There is an instant affinity between Sun Wukong and the staff, as if the weapon itself had found its true, rightful owner. With his new affinity for his weapon, Sun Wukong is able to change its size, elongating it, flying, and even being able to shrink it down to the size of a rice grain. After storing his magical staff in his ear, the Monkey King then asks the dragon to gift him with an attire fit for a king. Now very wary of Sun Wukong, Wukong summons his three brothers, the other major Dragon Kings, for assistance. They all agree that this monkey is not one to be trifled with, and thus they gift him with a chainmail shirt, a phoenix feather cap, and cloud-walking boots, each great treasures of the Dragon Kings. Now suitably attired and equipped, the Monkey King bids farewell to the dragons, leaving happy. Having suffered yet another humiliation, Wukong returns to his court, brooding, waiting for the day that he might one day rise again as a true Dragon King. With his fame and reputation quickly growing, other demons sought out Sun Wukong, intending to form a fraternity with him. Of these demons, there was the Bull Demon King, the Saurian Demon King, the Single-Horned Demon King, the Rock Demon King, the Lion Spirit Demon King, the Macaque Spirit King, and the Snub-Nosed Monkey Spirit King. However, Hell had decided it was time to collect Sun Wukong's whole soul, and thus the kings of Hell sent their greatest champions. Bullhead and Horseface appeared before Sun Wukong and told him it was his time, that he was never meant to live much longer than 300 years. Unwilling to go with them, Sun Wukong fought them off. Having failed to collect his soul, these reapers returned to hell in shame. This was a problem, for nothing but the immortals were allowed to exist beyond the call of hell. Sun Wukong was not yet an immortal. He may have learned the secrets of how to become one, but he himself had not yet reached this pinnacle. Unwilling to die yet, Sun Wukong erased his name from the Book of Life and Death, as well as the name of every mortal monkey that he knew. The Dragon Kings and the Kings of Hell had had enough of this. They reported him to the Jade Emperor and demanded that the ruler of heaven do something about this unyielding monkey. Knowing it would take everything he had, the Jade Emperor sent his army to erase the Monkey King altogether. But ultimately, it failed. After numerous battles and skirmishes had been fought, eventually the Jade Emperor decided that perhaps the Monkey King could be appeased rather than slain, and thus he invited Sun Wukong to heaven. The Monkey King believed that his bravery and daring was about to be rewarded with an honorable place as one of the gods. He was told that he'd been awarded the title of Protector of the Horses. In other words, a fancy term the heavens coined for a stable boy. It was the lowest of the low. It was the least important job in heaven. Upon discovering that he'd been slighted, Sun Wukong released the horses, and the cloud horses galloped across the heavens, free from their stable. He then returned him to his own lands, and declared that if heaven had slighted him, he would stand as a beacon against all those who had been slighted, and he declared himself heaven's equal, awarding himself the title of Qi Tian Da Xiong, or the Great Sage, Equal of Heaven. Highly offended by this rude, impertinent, and brash monkey's bravado, the Jade Emperor is once again considering sending in the military to deal with Sun Wukong. But his advisor, Goldstar, counsels against brash military action. It could cost many lives, and although it would be good if they succeeded, it would harm the reputation of heaven. After a while, the Jade Emperor calms down and agrees to Goldstar's proposal that he formally recognize Sun Wukong's title. He knows it will greatly please the Monkey King, but at the same time, the Emperor could consider him as nothing more than a kept pet monkey, with no true importance. So, Sun Wukong is once again invited back to heaven. Wary of a trap, he is reluctant initially, but is very pleased when he sees that Goldstar, acting as an envoy, is presenting him with the official papers and addresses him by his new title, Qi Tian Da Xiong, Great Sage Equal of Heaven. Goldstar tells Da Xiong that he is to be promoted to a far more important position as the guardian of the Heavenly Peach Garden. Sun Wukong is indeed pleased. The Heavenly Peach Garden is a very important aspect within heaven, and being its guardian came with other perks. Sun Wukong loved peaches, and being in such close proximity to the garden, surely he'd be able to eat as many as he liked. Later on, When 7 heavenly maidens are sent by the Queen Mother to pluck peaches for the upcoming royal banquet, Sun Wukong discovers very important gods and goddesses have been invited, but he himself had not received an invitation. When he tells the maidens who have been sent that he is Da Xiong, the great sage who is equal of heaven, the maidens giggle and tell him that everyone in heaven knows that this is simply an empty title, and that he is just an immortal who takes care of the peach garden. Sun Wukong's indignation then turns to open defiance. Angered, the Monkey King goes to see the preparations for the royal banquet. He decides he would have a bit of fun. He decides to try out some of the fine foods he'd never been allowed, and consumes an ample amount of royal wine. Now tipsy, the Monkey King decides to go on a little quest around heaven. He'd seen so little of it and he saw no harm, so he decided to roam around. While all the important gods and goddesses were on their way to the banquet and distracted, Sun Wukong reaches the highest level of the authorities within heaven, which have been left unguarded. They can only be accessed by high-level immortals, with the very highest levels of pure spiritual powers, something that they had never associated with the Monkey King. When he realizes that he is at the top of the 33 layers of the Do Shanghai Palace, Sun Wukong decides to steal and consumes Lao Zai's pills of immortality and Shi Guan Mu's peaches of immortality. Now he is truly an immortal. Taking the remainder of the Emperor's royal wine, Sun Wukong escapes back to his kingdom. Knowing that he would never be forgiven for this indiscretion, he prepares for the rebellion. The Jade Emperor was enraged. He refused to listen to Goldstar's counsel to find another peaceful way to deal with Sun Wukong. This monkey had crossed him for the last time. It was time to bring down the wrath of heaven. And thus began Sun Wukong's rebellion. The armies of heaven were limitless, it seemed. 100,000 celestial warriors had been assembled, and all 28 constellations. Even the mighty Niza and the 4 heavenly kings had been sent against Sun Wukong. Laughing and enjoying himself immensely, he seemed invincible. It was no more than just a massive game to Sun Wukong. He easily defeated the soldiers. They were no more than leaves in the wind to him. Even the mighty Niza, defeater of Ao Guang, was nothing to him. In the end, the Jade Emperor was forced to send his fist, one of his greatest generals, one of his most powerful warriors, a man that even the Buddha, ruler of Western Heaven, had said was a match for Sun Wukong in battle. This mighty warrior of heaven was Long Shang, the nephew of the Jade Emperor himself. Proudly he strode onto the battlefield, accompanied, as always, by his celestial hunting dog. The following is a description of Long Shang from the Journey to the West book by Wu Xianlan. His bearing was refined, his visage noble, his ears hung down to his shoulders, and his eyes shone. The hat on his head had 3 peaks and phoenixes flying, and his robe was of a pale goose yellow. His boots were lined with a cloth of gold, dragons coiled around his socks. His jade belt was decorated with the 8 jewels. At his waist was a bow, curved like the moon. In his hand, a 3-pointed double-edged spear. His axe had split open Peach Mountain when he rescued his mother. His bow had killed the twin phoenixes of Zhongluo. Widespread was his fame for killing the 8 demons, and he had become one of Plum Hill's 7 sages. His heart was too lofty to acknowledge his relatives in heaven. In his pride, he went back to be a god at Guanzhong. He was the merciful and miraculous sage of the Red City, Erlang, whose transformations were numberless. Their battle was fearsome. Throughout their duel, Erlang proved that he was the stronger adversary, although Sun Wukong always managed to stay ahead and at times get the better of him thanks to his quick wits. Even the Monkey King was forced to acknowledge that Erlang Shang was the greatest opponent he had ever faced. During their duel, Sun Wukong saw a chance to outwit his opponent yet again and transformed himself into a fish. Seeing the Monkey King flee, Erlang became a bird of prey and dived after the Monkey King, who then transformed himself into a larger bird. And this contest continued, so on and so forth. Transformation matched for transformation. Near the conclusion of their duel, Sun Wukong disguised himself as a temple, but cunning was Erlang Shang, and with his third eye, he was able to see right through the disguise. Eventually, teamwork brought down Sun Wukong. Erlang fought the Monkey King directly, but it was Lao Zi that had personally dropped his refined golden ring that hit Sun Wukong on the head. This gave Erlang the chance to finally bring his opponent down, and with his celestial hunting dog at his side, he struck, with the dog biting at the leg. Finally, heaven had succeeded. Sun Wukong had been captured. Enraged by and humiliated at the way his rebellion had turned against him, Sun Wukong declared that those he'd fought against were cowards, having attacked him from behind. Having become truly immortal, the execution attempts had failed, and Sun Wukong was still alive. He stood defiant, even as he was locked into Lao Zi's 8-way trigram crucible. This was a fiery pit. It had been decreed that for 49 days he would be burned alive inside the crucible, and his remains to be distilled down into an elixir so that Lao Zi could regain his pills of longevity. The fires proved inefficient. They were not hot enough to beings of such unspeakable power as their rival Buddha himself. However, Sun Wukong found a way to survive. They were all confident that the flames would be able to kill him, and if not, they would certainly weaken him to a point that he would truly never recover. However, in a corner of the crucible, Sun Wukong hid. In this corner there was a wind trigram, in which there was much less fire. Additionally, the heat from the Samadhi flames had in fact only reinforced the Monkey King's body while he resided there, allowing him to grow more resistant, stronger, and impervious to greater damage. Now he was truly even a greater opponent than even Erlang Shang would be able to face. For 47 days, the Monkey King resided in the crucible, until it was opened to check how things were going. Seeing his chance, he leapt out, still whole, unburnt, and now free. Ready for revenge, Sun Wukong prepared to make a final strike at the Jade Emperor himself and take his throne for his own. His time in the crucible had not only strengthened Sun Wukong's body, as well as his resolve. It had given him another ability. The Monkey King was now able to recognize evil in others with his ability, the Golden Gaze. Sun Wukong proceeded to destroy the crucible after his escape. He would not be confined any longer. He would not be held back any longer. His rebellion may have ultimately been unsuccessful as he'd hoped, and his armies been more or less destroyed and scattered, but Heaven's armies too had been wiped out. They had no one left to mount a defense, and so he assaulted the main chamber in order to confront the Jade Emperor and his senior advisors. He was ready to kill the Emperor and take the throne for himself. Seeing that he needed help, the Emperor and the authorities of heaven appealed to their rival and neighbor, the divine Buddha of Western Heaven. To their surprise, the Buddha himself came, willing to speak and happy to help them. Upon their meeting, the Buddha listened, intrigued, as the Monkey King claimed that he was to be the new Jade Emperor. Only he was strong enough to replace the old man, and it was his destiny to become the true ruler of heaven. The Buddha blinked. In his enlightened mind, he knew that Sun Wukong could never become the new Jade Emperor, and it was never his destiny. He just needed to convince the Monkey King of it. But how to do so? In the end, it was simple. He would not need to fight Sun Wukong. He just needed to trick him. The Buddha then made a wager with him. He bet the Monkey King that he would not be able to escape his palm. Smugly, the Monkey King accepted. And should I escape, what will you do then? Should you escape my palm, I will step aside and allow you to do as you wish. Laughing, the Monkey King leapt into the air and flew all the way to the end of the world. Surely not even the Buddha could catch him now. Upon reaching this end, he saw nothing but 5 pillars and believed that he had reached the end of the universe. To prove his triumph and declare himself once again to be the great sage, the equal of heaven, Sun Wukong marked one of the pillars. However, other versions of the story claim that he urinates on it instead. Laughing, he leapt back, returned to the Buddha's palm to claim his victory in winning the bet. But when he reached the Buddha's palm, he realized he'd been tricked. The 5 pillars he'd seen before were not pillars at all. They were in fact the fingers of the Buddha. Surely there must be a mistake. Sun Wukong leapt once again and flew to the other end of the universe. However, once again his path were blocked by the Buddha's fingers. Again and again he tried to escape, but could not. In the end, the Buddha knew he'd won. But Sun Wukong would not give up. He would never give up. He knew that he needed to end this quickly, and so the Buddha tipped his hand over and sent the Monkey King crashing back to earth in a cascade of falling rocks. And so, as the Monkey King fell back to earth, he became buried under rock and stone. With a great effort, he tried to free himself from the mountain that had formed over him. But to his surprise, he could not move it. How could this be? He was Sun Wukong. He was Qi Tian Da Xiong. He was the great sage equal of heaven. Surely a mere mountain could stop him. But try as he might, Sun Wukong could not get free. Only his head and hands were exposed from the rock. In fury and desperation, he screamed, mustering all his strength. But it was no good. He could not get free. It was then he realized that the Buddha had sealed him under the mountain with a paper talisman bearing the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum in gold letters. He was truly trapped. And Sun Wukong despaired. His gambit had failed. His rebellion was over. His kingdom all but lost to him. And now, as an immortal, he could never die. He would never know release from that prison. It was truly a fate worse than death. Be still and be calm, Sun Wukong, the Buddha had said to him. Your fate is not to die here yet. Other tasks may yet await you. But before that time, learn patience and humility. It will do you good. I will see to it that you are fed fruit when hungry, and water is brought to you when thirsty. And so, for 500 years, Sun Wukong waited, slowly trying to clear his mind and learn patience and humility, as had been suggested. For 500 years he despaired and waited. For 500 years the crushing weight of the mountain prevented him from leaving. For 500 years Sun Wukong lost his rage. Instead, he dreamed of his family, of his brothers, of his children and grandchildren, and their children and grandchildren. He wanted to be free. He wanted to go home. But fate was not finished with Sun Wukong yet. There would be a time when Da Xiong would be needed again, and he would be ready to face the trials that awaited him. For 500 years, Da Xiong waited. However, one day he would be free. And thus ends the story of Sun Wukong's rebellion against heaven. Ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy this story? I hope you did. If you would like a part 2, where we go over Sun Wukong's great journey to the west, then please like and leave a comment to let me know. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please remember to like and subscribe for more lore, myths, legends, and stories. I know this was a long time coming, and for what it's worth, I really do apologise for the length of time it took me to get this out to you. Also, to everyone that subscribed while I was away, thank you very much. It really does mean a lot. And again, to everyone that's watched my channel, left a comment, left a like, anything like that, I do greatly appreciate it. As I said a minute ago, if you would like a part 2 to this, because I know this is only about half of Sun Wukong's story, there's still the journey to the west left. Again, so if you would like me to go over that, then please let me know. I don't know when the next video will be. I will try to get it out to you as soon as possible. I don't have anything specifically planned. If you have any requests, again, let me know. And yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. That's all from you, ladies and gentlemen. I will sign off now. I am Shenlong Pendragon. Until next time, knowledge is power.